So our first speaker today is Alice from Dark Coffee. So Alice, it's over to you.
Thank you, Joe, and morning, everybody. This is like so crazy to be talking to the marketing meetup people. I'm dead excited to be sharing with you today. And thank you so much for making the time, all of you, because I'm sure it hasn't escaped your notice that as a marketer, life is pretty busy. We're busy people. And this is true whether you're employed, whether you're self-employed, or whether you're a business owner, just kind of making it up as you go along, like someone I know. Hello, I see you, I am you. So yes, today I'm talking to you about how can we overcome this busyness? How can we cut through the overwhelm and get a sense of self and a kind of steady foundation from which to spring? That's what I'm going to be talking to you about today. If we haven't had the pleasure of meeting before, my name's Alice. And as Joe says, I run a company called Dark Coffee. And my slide here says badass in business, not just because it's my new job title, I'm going to try and emphasize, but because this is actually what I help people to do. My mission is to help people be badass in business through my own special brand of well-being. So today what I'm going to help you with is something mystical and magical that you might have heard of before. It's called a daily routine. Now, if you see this and it strikes fear into your heart, it's partially the slide probably in this obnoxious graphic that I've put together, but also it's because of the reputation that the daily routine has. It's been kind of co-opted as a phrase by self-help gurus and, you know, everybody posting on LinkedIn. And it's touted as this kind of very rigid structure that you like have to follow in order to have a successful life and career. So you might think about things like the 4 a.m. wake up call, no thanks, cold showers, also no, and you know, casual 10K run before breakfast. And I just think it's kind of bullshit. Sorry, Joe. It's mistaken. It's not true. And I want to bust this myth with you today. All a daily routine is, or all it should be, I should say, is a series of good habits that are strung together to give you structure and a sense of place in your day. It's to kind of ground you in where you are. And it should be a good thing. It should be a nice, enjoyable thing that we all look forward to. But unfortunately, I feel like that's not quite the case. So let's have a look. Let's just imagine what life would be like without a daily routine. I'm going to use a scapegoat for this example, so you don't feel like I'm sort of yelling at you directly. And my scapegoat is called Jim, and he has his hideous kind of flipper hands, which came out of my pen. I don't know why, but this is Jim. So Jim's woken up this morning to the casual sound of his alarm cutting through the peace of his sleep. And he's got a really busy day ahead of him. And so he drags himself across the floor. He's had a horrible night's sleep because he had a deadline he was working towards. So he's not well rested at all. Drags himself over to that alarm and he thinks, you know what, I've got a busy day ahead. So bleary eyed with his hideous flippered hand, he starts scrolling through his phone and he thinks, you know what, I'm going to be useful. I'm going to be productive. I'm going to answer my emails. I'm going to catch up on social media, see what's happened in the last 5 hours. I'm gonna have a look at my schedule. So I'm getting myself in the right headspace. I'm getting my head in the game for this day that I'm gonna have. No harm, right? No. Bad idea, Jim. He's a fool. He's fallen into this very common productivity trap that so many of us might find ourselves falling into. And that is we try and cram as much productive time into our day as we can. Any spare minute that we have, we're trying to cram it with something useful to fill that time. Think of every time you're waiting in line somewhere, or every time, you know, you're waiting for someone on a webinar, for instance. But actually, this is a really bad way to operate, or to try and operate, because it doesn't actually work for our brain chemistry. Science lesson. This is my very highly detailed picture of the human brain. What our brains need to do in order to function well is switch between a few different modes. I'm not going to get too technical because I'm not a neuroscientist, I know, but it needs to switch between a few different modes. So if you think of this as work mode, play mode, and rest mode, they all work together like cogs in a machine. So if you're always trying to turn that work dial, if you're always trying to crank it and just keep going, you're going to run into friction because that cog cannot move anymore if the work and the rest dials are not working as well. And this is because our brains just need to have their downtime, in the same way as like when you have a computer, you need to shut it down, you need to back it up, regulate. If you just keep it switched on and plugged in all the time, you'll start to hear it whirring and you're going to have a horrible time. So this is where your daily routine comes in. It's a regular opportunity for you every day to give yourself some time to spend on rest and play, even if you don't do it for the rest of the day. So I'm going to help you do this with a very, very quick and easy technique that I call bookending. What your bookends are tiny pockets of self-focused time, one at the beginning of the day one at the end of the day. Anything else that you have going on in your day fits between these two little catches of time, like books betwixt two bookends, hence the name. So what do these bookends involve? Well, the cool thing about this technique is that it's completely non-prescriptive. It's not a case of saying you have to be up at this time every day, you have to go and do this activity, you have to do this, as like all the self-help gurus will tell you, like follow this regimen. Because again, our brains don't work like that. We're very organic, kind of wafty creatures, and our energy levels don't work in that kind of linear fashion. So if you try and force yourself into that regimen, you're going to have a bad time. So all that you have to do with these bookends is think to yourself, what would feel fun for me right now? Or what would feel restful for me right now? And it can fluctuate day to day. You can decide on the morning that you wake up what you want to do with that pocket of time. And a little goes a really long way with this. I'm talking 20 minutes. So even if you have kids, if you have a spouse, if you have other people running around, you can carve out 20 minutes for yourself, because I hate to say it, but I do think some of us probably spend more than 20 minutes scrolling on our phone first thing in the morning. I know that was actually me this morning, so it's irony of irony that I'm giving this talk to you right now. But put in the chat now, as I'm saying this, what's coming to mind for you? What kind of activities do you think of when I say something restful? A caveat to this is that it's self-focused time, meaning no one else is involved. So ignore your children, put your dog outside, put your partner outside. This is for you, because so much of the rest of your day will be dominated by other people, whether you acknowledge it or not. It's going to be emails popping off. There's going to be messages. Your day is already held hostage by other people. So this is your time for you. So it might look like, you know, one of my clients, he just says, all I do in the morning is have a coffee by myself in silence before his 4-year-old wakes up, and it's the best part of his day. Well, I'm sure it gets better after that, but he always calls it the best part of his day. You know, you might do something creative, you might casually do some doodles for a presentation. These are just random examples, guys, just anything that pops off to mind. So I'm going to have a look at the chat now, what's going off in there. Ooh, I can't see it. Podcast on a walk. Yes, love that. Yep, cycling, yoga. Yeah, activity. Like I've used this picture of a woman just kind of going for it because I'm a big fan of a dance party. You don't need to do anything really formal. You don't need to do a 5K. You don't need to do yoga just because everyone else is doing it. Alice has a great podcast called Dark Coffee. It's actually recently rebranded, so it's called Mind Over Grind. But thank you, Kate. These are all really great suggestions. So remember, all the rules are for this are that it's got to be fun, and it's got to be restful. So if you want to have a really leisurely start to your morning, you can do something relaxing and restful, maybe do a bit of journaling, a bit of self-reflection, playing piano. Emma James, look at you. Walking in the evenings, that's a lovely idea. Yeah, I'd say ditch the friend and just walk alone. But maybe that's just me being antisocial. But honestly, 20 minutes to yourself in the morning and evening, this is a game changer, particularly if you're an extrovert and you don't spend a lot of time by yourself. Bring back that OG lockdown feeling. So just as a kind of closing point, I want you to think of this as the espresso of your day. A little goes a really, really long way. It doesn't need to be an hour. You don't need to wake up at 4 a.m. You just have to be consistent. And this is just the one habit you can cultivate to help you with that. So as my closing argument, I hope that helps you. It's a really simple technique for you to implement. If you take nothing else away from today, be less Jim, try this out and feel more like your badass self. Thank you. Back to Joe in the studio.
Amazing. I have a feeling that this session is going to turn out very, very well. Thank you so much, Alice. That was wicked.
And I was on time.
Yeah,
That was my biggest fear.
I love the energy that's coming out of this session this morning. Thank you, Alice, and thank you everyone as well for chatting throughout this. The side chats going on about hammocks. It's real.